So it appears that Jimmy Dore caught a ton of backlash on Twitter because he sent out this tweet. And so what he was doing was he was quote tweeting a tweet from somebody named Lauren Boebert. Now, apparently, she is currently a representative in a district, I believe, in Colorado. She is like a crazy kook QAnoner, seems like a sort of looks like a knockoff Sarah Palin to me, but she's definitely one of those crazy Karens when you look into her history. But she sent out a tweet. She says, as Biden bans flights from India, perhaps he should be reminded of a tweet he put out last year. Also, I thought travel bans were xenophobic. And it's a screenshot of a tweet from Joe Biden that says a wall will not stop the coronavirus. Banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the world will not stop it. This disease can impact every nation and any person on the planet, and we need a plan to combat it. And that was sent, last year. So this is the thing, right? This is incredibly out of context here, and this is the problem, right? Joe Biden sucks, but the problem is right-wingers lie about him, and it's very dangerous to peddle and promote these lies. So what is the out-of-context lie here? Well, what she's trying to say is that Biden here was saying that banning travel wouldn't stop it. But what Biden was saying was there was no coherent plan in place whatsoever from Donald Trump's administration. If they had a plan, it was basically to say coronavirus isn't real. There was no real plan to stop it. Whereas Joe Biden right now does have a plan in place of getting vaccines through mask mandates, blah, blah, blah. And then banning flights from India is just a piece of that puzzle. So again, this is just totally misquoting him and just totally taking out. And by the way, the one where they try to say that he said travel bans were, I don't know if she's referencing here the Muslim ban, or which, obviously that was incredibly xenophobic. But there's also potential that she was mentioning the one where Joe Biden supposedly was saying that the bans that Donald Trump put in place from, I think it was China or Canada or somewhere, where he banned the flights, that was xenophobic. That's what Joe Biden said. But that wasn't what Joe Biden said either. He was saying that the solution to it wasn't xenophobia, and by that it meant stop calling it China virus. That was never what he said. PolitiFact has an article about how that was fake and taken out of context. And so when she sends this out, QAnon kook, Jimmy Dore responds saying, quote, nothing will fundamentally change Joe Biden. So does it make sense to ban flights from somewhere where there's a pandemic going on, there's breakthrough, and there's these breakthrough strains that are breaking through vaccines? I definitely think so, for sure, no doubt. I think it's a good idea to do. I think it makes a lot of sense. But you need a coherent plan, obviously, and that's what Joe Biden was saying. So people really went off, the surf say, Google Lauren Boebert before tweeting. Again, people being really pissed off because, she's basically a fascist and people don't like that he's signal boosting her. This one says, I love how you elevate leftist allies like Checks Notes, Lauren Boebert. I also love how you tear down leftist adversaries like Checks Notes, AOC. Boebert, LMAO, but AOC is the one standing in the way of progress, right? Delete this. What the fuck? Retweeting Boebert, Dore is now just a full-time fascist and he is too stupid to even know it. There are a ton more of these tweets. Some people making different arguments against this. Most of what the backlash seems to be here is actually that he's signal boosting Lauren here. And I think that's problematic in this situation for sure, and you have to be careful about signal boosting like right-wing smear machines and right-wing, people who should not be given credibility. But in this case, I would say the issue is twofold, because not only are you elevating Lauren in this situation, but on top of that, you are also amplifying a right-wing smear of Joe Biden that's just not accurate. And you never want to be signal boosting or amplifying a right-wing smear machine. It's just not a good idea. It's going to come back to bite you, and it doesn't make any sense. What she's saying here is totally false. It's completely false in every way, and so you're signal boosting that. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very diligent. But Jimmy Dore has already long while ago, he took this kind of horseshoe type of route where he's now attempting to recruit a bunch. Honestly, I think most of his fans probably are Trump supporters at this point, where, he's trying to rally the troops together with the Boogaloo Boys and, get together with the fascists. Him and Kyle Kalinske, I think, are really big into that type of stuff. But people really, when you look at this, I mean, they really, someone says, oh, look, a wild grifter has appeared. Grifter is a very heavily used term. Obviously, it means somebody who's basically claiming their political beliefs, or in this context, political beliefs, to make money. Whether or not Jimmy Dore is a grifter is definitely, it's very debatable because, are these Jimmy Dore's true beliefs? Is this being egged on by like this narcissistic complex that he has? I'm not really sure. Why don't you just cozy up with QAnon and Trumpists and just be done with it? I mean, that's already what he's done, basically. I mean, that's already what he's done at this point. So, is Jimmy Dore ever going to address how the Republicans and the right wing are trying to stop people from having peaceful protests in this country? So that's basically what's going on here, is Jimmy Dore catching a lot of backlash over on Twitter for this tweet that he sent out. And I think it's definitely rightfully deserved. I actually wish it was, because most of the backlash appears to be people saying, oh, you're signal boosting Lauren. That's wrong of you to do. But I would actually say it's twofold here, because, like, let's say Lauren had tweeted out something that was a legitimate critique of Joe Biden in some way that was legit, that, Republicans and progressives could, rally around, that'd be one thing. But when you're talking about a smear lie, about pointing out an out-of-context tweet where you're trying to say that, Joe Biden was saying that he was against banning travel from areas to stop coronavirus, when what he was saying is you need a coherent plan, and part of that coherent plan can be to ban travel from areas where, coronavirus is coming from. But doing that alone isn't going to solve it. And if you remember what Donald Trump was doing, he was just denying it was even a real thing. And so when you do that, and you're just doing these travel bans, it's not going to work. You don't have a plan in place. It's stupid, right? So you have to be very careful here. And I think people are just not into this. At least, there's a lot of infighting on the left, obviously. I don't even know if you can consider Jimmy Dore left at this point. I'm not really sure where he falls. He's in the kind of horseshoe range at this point. But obviously Jimmy Dore doesn't like Joe Biden at all. Don't think he likes Bernie Sanders. I don't know who he likes. I mean, at some point I think Jimmy Dore is going to have to run for leader of the world, because that's the only person who's going to be able to please him. Maybe not even himself. I don't know. He's incredibly narcissistic. I mean, he said Bernie Sanders was a progressive. Then later on, he says he's not. He said Elizabeth Warren was a progressive. Now he says she's not. He said that Tulsi Gabbard was a progressive. I don't even know if he recanted that or not, but obviously that was proven completely false. He did denounce her on some occasions, so I would imagine that would say something. Do you genuinely believe if this bullshit People's Party or whatever garbage were able to do anything, that he would be satisfied with who they were running? Yeah, right, dude. You'd have to be insane to think that. Seriously, you'd have to be bonkers. So the only logical conclusion for Jimmy Dore is he has to run for emperor of the world. That's it. Because there's nobody who will satisfy him. Only himself.